You know, when we think of Arsène Lupin, we picture the brilliant gentleman thief, right? The master of disguise, always charming, always one step ahead. But there's one story, one single number, that completely shatters that image. It's the story that took the hero we all thought we knew and just broke him. We're talking about the 813 conspiracy. And this right here is the heart of it. It's the clash between the myth of Lupin and the reality of what this story does to him. On one side, you've got the suave, nonviolent rogue we love. But on the other, the truth of 813 is so much darker. We see a desperate man, framed for a murder, who eventually becomes a killer himself. This is the story that tears down the legend. So let's talk about the novel itself. 813 is, without a doubt, the darkest, most ambitious book in the entire saga. It's this huge turning point where that carefree adventurer is just gone. And in his place is a man pushed to his absolute moral and psychological breaking point. Okay, so to really get why 813 is such a big deal, we have to remember who Lupin is supposed to be. He's the gentleman thief. The guy has a code. Sure, he steals, but he steals from the corrupt. He outwits people. He doesn't hurt them. And that last part, never resorting to murder, that is the single most important rule in his entire playbook. And it's the one he's about to shatter. So how does a story this dark even kick off? Well, it's not with one of his usual clever heists. No. This all begins with a perfect trap. Lupin gets dragged into this deadly conspiracy that doesn't just threaten his freedom, it threatens his entire identity. At the center of this whole mess is a number, 813. It's found on a tiny little label at the scene of a really brutal murder. A super wealthy diamond magnate is dead, and this number is one of the only clues. But the killer left something else, something way more personal. Because right there, next to this mysterious number, the police find Lupin's own calling card. I mean, think about it. It's a brilliant, perfect setup. The world's most famous thief is instantly the number one suspect in a murder he swears he had nothing to do with. He's been completely and utterly framed. Okay, so who are the main players on this chessboard? Well, first you've got the victim, Rudolf Kesselbach, and believe me, his death is about way more than just money. Then, of course, you have Lupin as the scapegoat. And then there's a new piece on the board, a shadowy mastermind who only goes by the initials LM. And this guy? He's just as brilliant as Lupin, but a whole lot more ruthless. So how does Lupin react to all this? You'd think he'd run, right? Go into hiding? Nope, not Lupin. Instead, he comes up with his most audacious, most insane plan ever. The hunted decides to become the hunter, but in a way nobody could possibly see coming. Which brings up this impossible question, right? How in the world do you find the real killer when the entire police force of France is looking for you? How do you prove you're innocent when your own name is the main piece of evidence? Lupin's answer is it's pure, uncut genius. First, he creates this incredible new identity, a brilliant detective named M. Lenormand. Then, get this, he uses that identity to get himself appointed as the new chief of the Sûreté, the head of the entire French police force. And from that position, he starts leading the official nationwide manhunt for himself. I mean, just think about the sheer guts that takes. By day, he's M. Lenormand, directing the whole investigation from the inside. But by night, he's back to being Arsène Lupin, running his own secret investigation to find his real enemy, LM. It's this insane, dangerous double life where one single mistake, one slip-up, and it's all over. But as this thing unfolds, it gets so much bigger than just a murder. We're talking international espionage. You gotta remember, this was written in 1910, and tensions between France and Germany were simmering right before World War I. The story plugs right into that anxiety. Even the German Kaiser gets involved. And as the pressure just keeps building, Lupin gets pushed to his absolute limit, and he's forced to cross a line he swore he never would. And this is where you see the fundamental clash between these two masterminds. For Lupin, it's always been a game of wits. He has a code, and the number one rule is, you don't kill. But for his enemy, LM, this is a war, and there are no rules. He leaves a trail of bodies behind him to prove it. You just know this collision of styles is going to end in tragedy. And then, it happens. In this violent, desperate fight trying to save himself and stop one of his enemy's henchmen, Lupin is forced to kill a man. And in that one single moment, his entire identity, the very foundation of his moral code, it just shatters. And this right here is the real tragedy of the story. It's not being framed that breaks him. It's what he does himself. The psychological weight of taking a life absolutely crushes him. The charming, carefree gentleman thief is just gone, replaced by a man who now sees himself as a monster.
All right, so this brings us to the end game. Lupin actually does it. He manages to unravel the whole conspiracy and he wins. But it's a victory that costs him absolutely everything he is.
I mean, you look at what he accomplished on paper, and it's just staggering. He unmasks his ruthless nemesis, L.M. He totally outmaneuvers the German Kaiser in a game of high-stakes politics. He even uses secret documents to stop a war from breaking out. And yeah, he clears his name of the original murders. But here's the devastating irony. He saved his country, but he couldn't save himself. Even though he's innocent of those first crimes, he's now a known killer for the one he did commit. And the public, and maybe more importantly Lupin himself, can no longer see the hero. They only see the monster. So all this chaos just spirals into this incredibly dramatic conclusion. After he deals with LM and the Kaiser, Lupin realizes that the identity of Arsène Lupin is now a curse. So, chased to a cliff in this big public spectacle, he fakes his own death by throwing himself into the ocean. He literally kills the character he created, only to be reborn later as Don Luis Perenna, a soldier in the French Foreign Legion, looking for some kind of redemption in total anonymity. And that's really the question 813 just leaves hanging in the air, isn't it? He outsmarted every single enemy. He saved France from a war. He won the ultimate game. But to do it, he had to destroy the very essence of who he was. Was it worth it? And that question, that's what makes this story not just a great thriller, but a genuine tragedy.